Hey y'all, I figured I would take y'all along today. I am seed starting for the garden tower project that we posted about a few days ago that me and my son were adding the worms to, and that my daughter has been watering to get the soil rehydrated. I couldn't decide a lot of the seed packages because I did the kitchen minis from Eden Brothers. Speaking of which, where did I put the seeds? Okay. So I did the kitchen minis collection from Eden Brothers, and they all do say direct sow, but they're tomatoes and peppers, and I'm just not comfortable direct sowing them. So I'm going to start them in seed starting trays like I start all of my seeds. I very rarely direct sow anything. I direct sow beans, and that is literally it. So for the garden tower, I am going to start in seed trays as well. I just use these 6 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6 by 8 seed trays. I think I got these off Amazon a few years ago. When I start my seeds in the spring, though, I always use these larger trays, but since they're for the garden tower, I think these smaller ones will work better. In order not to waste a ton of seed starting mix, I had to buy Miracle-Gro seed starting mix. I made my own seed starting mix one year and it was horrible. Anyway, so now I always buy seed starting mix from the store. And after going to 3 stores, the only seed starting mix that anyone still had in stock, because I guess seed starting this time of year isn't super popular, was Miracle-Gro. So we're going to use Miracle-Gro this time. But typically I would use a different brand. I used Pro Mix this year and it worked really well. So in order not to waste soil, I'm just going to go ahead and measure out how much soil I need to fill this tray. And I'll probably actually need a little bit more because once it's wet, it will pack down. That way I'm just not wasting this whole bag of soil and wetting it. And then if I have some other project I'm working on, I can use it as well. I decided to go with the kitchen minis in the garden tower because I've seen people plant the regular size plants in the garden tower and it tends to look very, very chaotic. I don't like the big, I guess it's maybe like an OCD thing, I'm not sure. I just don't like the big plants and the way that they look in the garden towers. Last year I set up the garden tower and I used it for beans, bush beans, and I had marigolds planted in it. I got it late in the season, so I didn't feel like I could plant anything else in it. And then after doing a lot of research the last few months, when I decided to get it back up and running, I found out these kitchen minis collections. And what started it was I saw the orange hat tomatoes at Baker Creek and I was like, those would be perfect in the garden tower because the plants are only like this big, and so they're like the perfect size for the garden tower. And so I got to researching and found this kitchen minis collection at Eden Brothers. And basically what they are is to be grown in your kitchen on your counter, of course with the proper amount of sunlight. But I was like, they'll be perfect in the garden tower, and my garden tower stays on my shop porch, so it's pretty shady, and so I don't think they'll get too much sun. And so I was like, we're going to try the kitchen minis in the garden tower. So let me dump this into here so that I can get it rehydrated. This might make a mess. I may not have thought this part through very well. There we go. And then I'm going to add a little bit more because like I said, when I rehydrate it, it's going to shrink down. Seed starting mix is just lighter and fluffier than all of your other potting soils. And they had plenty of the organic and stuff potting soils in the larger potting soils, but not in the seed starting mixes. So I just bought what they had. The year that I tried to make it, I used like peat moss. And then of course your vermiculite and perlite. And it was just, I don't know. I used the right ratios and it just didn't work for me. So I'm back to buying so that I'm not wasting my time making a bunch of seeds. Okay, you want it just moist so that when you squeeze it in your hand, it stays into a nice clump. And then I'm just going to go back and fill my seed tray in. I could have started these in the garden tower, like it said, but like I said, I don't direct sow. And then my thing with starting it in the garden tower is, were the plants going to be evenly spaced? And I guess it's just like that artistic part of me that wants it to be evenly spaced, and all the peppers to be in one place, and all the tomatoes to be in one place, because it's like done in rows technically. I am going to plant bush beans in the bottom of it just because they'll hang down. And like I said, they grew really well in it last year. Okay, now that I think that we got that nice and full, I'm gonna go wash my hands and I will be right back. So I bought the 4 packs of seeds, and they're all the Kitchen Minis collections except for one, the tomato Tiny Tim, and it is a determinate tomato, and the plant size is, it doesn't actually have the plant size, 8 inches tall. 8 inches tall for the Tiny Tim. And then I bought tomato seeds, again, Kitchen Minis. These are the Kitchen Minis varieties. Kitchen Minis Siam, and it is a determinate tomato as well. And it gets to, how does it say how tall this one is? But I'm going to assume it's like the same. It doesn't say how tall this one gets. And then I bought pepper seeds from the Kitchen Minis collection, and they are Fresh Bites Red. Doesn't say how tall these, it says it's an upright bush. And then I bought cucumber seeds, and they said that they were going to get about 2 foot tall, the vines would. And so I got to come up with a trellis for the top of the garden tower, and then each of the fruits is 1.5 to 2.5 inches long, so these should be really cute. It says it's a compact vine plant. So we're just going to start all of these into our tray. I'm going to mark each row so that I know what I planted where. I typically wouldn't start the cucumber seeds in the same tray that I'm starting peppers and tomatoes in, but I don't want to start like a whole nother tray just for cucumbers. So when they're ready to be transplanted, which should be like 2 weeks, because they don't take, or typical cucumbers don't take very long to get big enough to transplant. And I transplant, a lot of people are going to tell you you can't transplant cucumbers. I transplant cucumbers in my big garden every year. So I know it works. And so in about 2 weeks, I'll just gently try and remove them from this tray without hopefully spilling all the rest, because I don't want to start a whole separate tray just for cucumbers, because we're basically at the end of our growing season and I'm not going to be starting any more seeds. So quick snack cucumber. And I'm just going to plant 10 seeds of each. I don't even know how many they sent in each thing, but I'm just going to plant 10 seeds of each because that'll fill up this tray. I don't know why I thought the seeds would look like mini seeds, but they look like regular cucumber seeds. I just lay mine on the top and then I'll come back and sprinkle the top of the seed with some of the seed starting mix. Okay, I have 2 left over, so we'll just double plant some of the cells. And then these are going to be the Fresh Bites red pepper seeds. So okay, now pepper seeds are usually really small. I kind of shook the package so that all the seeds were in the bottom before I opened it up. Okay. Make sure there's no more in there. And they gave me exactly 10 of these. Okay. And then we're going to do the Kitchen Minis Siam. I think the Siam was a mini orange tomato. And the fruits are only going to be like cherry tomato size. Like they're not going to be actual large tomatoes. I think these are great seeds for somebody who like maybe just has a balcony and doesn't have the room for a giant garden. Okay, that's all of them. I don't even think there's 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I accidentally dropped 2 in that one. Oh, there were 10. Those are so tiny. Holy cow. And then the next one is going to be the Tiny Tim, which he's actually like a really popular one. Like if you're in the garden groups, people talk about Tiny Tim. I kind of tried to research the smaller, and then of course the orange hat from Baker Creek was a popular one, but I wasn't placing a seed order for 1 pack of seeds because I don't need any other seeds right now, so I went with Eden Brothers. Oh wow. Okay, Tiny Tim, they gave me a ton. I'm not sure if you can see that, but way more seeds in this. The Kitchen Minis, you only get 10. But I guess the Tiny Tim isn't a Kitchen Minis collection, so they gave you way more. So I'm going to put 2 seeds in every cell for him. That way, if one doesn't sprout, the other one will. Okay, and we'll save the Tiny Tim ones. So I'm going to fold this top down, and then I'll go put it in my seed starting basket. Okay, next I'm just going to go over the top and gently cover, not with a ton, because these seeds are all little, but cover each of these seeds. And I'm not firmly pressing it down. I'm just gently making sure each of the seeds is covered. Now that they're all covered, let me go find my spray bottle because I thought that I had brought it out here, but I did not. So now that I've got everything planted and all the seeds covered, I'm just going to take a spray bottle and mist the top of the soil. I think my spray bottle is going out. And then I will take my humidity dome and set it over the top. And now it's time to go sit it under the grow lights, and let me show you what I use as a grow light when I only have a single. This is an iDo hydroponics setup, and I've actually never used it as a hydroponic setup. Actually, all the hydroponic stuff is still in there, but it's perfect for these seed starting trays because they fit perfectly under there and it covers them with the entire, I need to switch it to vegetables and turn off the fans, but it covers the entire tray with grow lights. So when I'm starting just one set of seeds, this thing is perfect. Because if you go look on TikTok, because I was doing TikTok before I started YouTube, so when I set up all of my seed trays, that's all on TikTok for this year. But I set up greenhouses on my back screen porch because I live in Florida and our winters are somewhat milder. Most of my seeds start great on my back porch. And I'm not going to use, when starting tomatoes and peppers in my greenhouses, because it is winter time when I'm starting them. So we do have like 40, 50, 60, sometimes it dips 20, 30s, but most of the time 40, 50, 60 degrees. So the pepper seeds wouldn't start then. We're in the 90s, so my back porch is hot, and I'm fairly certain these tomato and pepper seeds will start without a heat mat under them. But if you're starting them inside of your house, then I definitely would probably use a heat mat. Or if you don't have heat mats, you can sit them on top of your freezer or refrigerator, and it gets plenty warm up there, and they'll usually start up there as well. But this has worked great for me. I think I've been using this for like 3 or 4 years to start seeds in. Completely great. So we'll be back in like 3 to 4 weeks when these have sprouted, and we will add them to our grow tower. I almost said hydroponics. We will add them to our grow tower too.